Welcome back in, everyone. Our second best of three in just a few moments' time. A banger that we saw in map 1, and we said that both games today are going to be just as exciting as one another. And if the first game was anything to go by, the second one is going to be 10 times as good. And listen, it's APEKS taking on FOKUS. This is the matchup I think everyone is dying to see. And two teams that I feel like have a lot of ratings from people at home, right? We're expecting big things out of this best of three.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this match and this series as a whole, this is like a full-on VCT game, in my opinion. I mean, FOKUS have been in VCT, right? They got through the promotion stage and they got into stage 1 of the VCT, and then it kind of crumbled there for them, in my opinion. So now I feel like this is like coming back to the roots, and we're about to see FOKUS fight back to earn what they would class as their spot at the top. But versus APEKS, I think they're in for a toughie.
Certainly the case. Let's talk about FOKUS first and foremost, right? A roster, a team full of individuals that I think everyone at home, realistically, these are household names at this point, right, for FOKUS. I think there's a lot of these individuals. Lewis as one, I think, that we'll see a lot of highlights of through this best of three that they played, obviously, previously. But ultimately, a brilliant side. A really, really good roster. I think individually just as talented as one another. And that's sometimes the edge, right, is that you always have the old reliable. You can kind of fall back on any of the pillars of FOKUS to do the work, because they are a team that all have the skill to make it, right? And as you can see here, all of the player pictures in. Obviously, there's the UK blood flowing through the team. Lewis is one of the longest standing players alongside Yugi. They've been in a team for well over a year now, which is always cool to see. Obviously, an introduction of a new core, KPZ, Purpo, and Lime, to round out this very, very impressive roster. One in which I think everyone at home will have high expectations for.
Yeah, and I mean, them three being the new additions, they bring, again, that experience that I'm talking about. Lime having the experience from Angry Titans in the DAC League, I believe. Lime, he was constantly someone that people were like, damn, who is this guy? This guy needs to be signed. This guy is cracking. We have Purpo. He's bringing that experience. I believe he was the 6th man for M3C. And then we have KPZ. Sorry. I think as a 5, these guys can bring so much to the table. And you mentioned Yaboy Lewis and you mentioned Yugi being like the long-standing ones for FOKUS. They're the two that you see on the highlight reels. Like, you see Lewis just popping ahead here, and then next round you've got Yugi, and he dropped 31 kills on Pearl against HSD. So it's like, this guy can aim, and so can Lewis. So I do think this is going to be an absolute banger of a matchup.
Yeah, 330 days they both spent together here in the FOKUS roster. Always a cool one to bring out those kind of stat lines, right? Because with that year of experience comes, plenty of trust in one another, right? And that's what they're looking to build with the rest of these players. Of course, a team that doesn't quite have experience and togetherness about them just yet is this APEKS side, signed less than 2 weeks ago. A lot to talk about with this side, because I think, as you rightly pointed out at the beginning of today, this is a side that we have such high expectations for, just because everyone here in the server has had experience at the top level of Valorant, right? And this is another team that, if I'm honest with you, are going to challenge FOKUS and really give them a run for their money.
Yeah, it's like a team of all-stars. Like, the amount of team experience these guys have had is absolutely incredible. Like, you've got people on this team, let's say for example Magnum. Him and Mystic, they're going to already have a little bit of chemistry, You've also got Enzo. You've got Fnatic on this team. You've got even some FPX on this team, Shadow when he first started. You've got Koi in this team. You've got Giants in this team. And I don't say Giants as in like these guys being the superstar team. They are Giants. I mean the actual, part of the team Giants. So the amount of experience these guys have got as individuals is incredible, and someone that I must say people really are talking about as of late is Kaiko. This guy is someone to watch out for. Again, that UK blood following in the line with Mystic as well. They're a dangerous team. And I think so far they think this is the only 5-man roster that not a single one of them has smiled in these photos right here. So that's why they're so scary.
Yeah, taking it serious. And I was just like reciting the history with these players, right? You're dead right. We look at, all of these players, right? Magnum obviously played in Fnatic, right? He also played in Enterprise before. You look at Mystic, right? He obviously played in Fnatic as well before that. Summon, obviously Enzo, as you said, he had a bit of a time in Liquid, and obviously, played for Team France, he played for Fnatic, he's played for NIP as well, right? A lot of these teams, household names. Shadow has played for Giants, played for Vitality, played for FPS. Kaiko, the least experience, but that doesn't mean anything. He's played in Wild, he's played in Bonk, he's had his fair share, right, of experience. And raw talent is something APEKS really do hold close to their chest, right? They wear it on their sleeve, knowing not only are these guys phenomenal at the game, but they also know how to shoot back and how to think how they're going to shoot back, right? Which is two very key values that I think we're going to learn very quickly about, and FOKUS are going to have to adapt to, because these are very important games, especially when, you know, you're expecting APEKS and FOKUS, the likes of at least, to basically hit the top of the table, right? I feel like this is going to be the #1 deciding game, and I don't think that's too hesitant to call.
No, not at all. I mean, when you look at the 8 teams in Polaris and you see these two, you're like, okay, these are the top 2, and I think whoever wins this game is gonna have the edge. You know, they're gonna be the ones, and they're gonna be like, okay, if APEKS just beat FOKUS, then how good does that make APEKS in comparison to VCT level as well? I mean, yes, they have VCT players on them, you know, prior, but if FOKUS deserve that spot in the VCT again, and APEKS beat them, then we're gonna have a game on our hands.
Yes, certainly. Let's talk about the head-to-head, right? You picked out 2 individuals. I think that, do you know what? I understand completely, right, how good these players are for their respective sides. Of course, we're looking at your boy Lewis for the FOKUS side, and we are looking at Enzo. Both Sova players, both unbelievably talented, right? And, you know, let's just put it into perspective, right? We were looking at these kind of numbers when we were comparing the duelists of the last BO3, right? We're talking about these players aren't even the heavy hitters. These guys are meant to be gathering information and setting up teams ready for plays. And again, Lewis more so than Enzo, but still applies to both, just hitting just insane numbers.
Like, when you look at the headshot percentage, I know as a solo player, you're going to have, like, assists per round and everything, which is, when you look at a solo player, that's kind of like, okay, how many assists are they getting? Because at the end of the day, you know, getting the tags, getting the recon darts in is the reason that you can win your team games. But I want to look at these stats, and when you have 2 people who are so effective on Sova, and one of them has 45.9% headshot ratio, you think, okay, not only is this guy smart how he plays Sova, he's an absolute demon. And like I mentioned, Lewis is always getting clips. Like, against HSD, sorry, it was incredible. It was like the guy was playing Aim Labs built into Valorant. Like, yeah. It's so clean. But let's not take that away from Enzo, because I know for a fact Enzo's a smart player, and headshot percentage isn't the only thing that people are going to look at you and think, okay, well, you know, this isn't a great headshot percentage. Because you got to think, right? People compare headshot percentages, but these guys are like playing against each other, right? You might look at your ranked teammates and think he's only got a 10% headshot ratio. Is he playing in iron lobbies or something? But these are playing like tier 1 versus tier 1. So you can't always look at stats like that. But Enzo, smart player, and I'm super excited to see how much of an impact he has in this series versus FOKUS.
Let's talk about vetoes. Very important, right? Obviously, for the APEKS side, they banned out Breeze in the opening game, obviously, a few days ago. FOKUS banned out Bind. So the direction of this veto, right? FOKUS picked Ascent into the HSD boys earlier on this week. For APEKS, they obviously selected the side of Icebox. And so, you know, if we're going to try and pick apart this veto, I think it's very difficult to do so for APEKS. If they want to play into their strengths, right? They demolished the opposition 13-5, right? And so, obviously, against the human tripwires as well, a team that we just saw being so versatile, admittedly, with different changes. Surely there's going to be some repeat here, right? Are we going to see an Icebox? Are we going to see anything of that sort? Well, kind of answered my question a bit here. Ascent has been selected. For FOKUS, of course, they actually picked this map into the HSD boys, and Pearl being selected, of course, by the APEKS side. They are going for something different, something that we haven't seen out of them just yet. This was the decider of the opening matchup that they played. Obviously, we didn't get to see it because it ended 2-0, but you know, if they were willing to hover it the first time around, I think we were kind of expecting it to linger in this veto as well.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that APEKS have actually banned against FOKUS in this situation. Maybe not directly, but FOKUS do have their highest win percentages on Breeze and Bind, and they're both been banned. And the main thing that no pun intended here. The main thing I do want to focus on is the way that FOKUS played Pearl last time. I do feel like they could have closed that map out a lot earlier than they did. And when I was watching that, I actually turned it off and I was like, oh, okay, FOKUS have boxed this off. And I go back on and it's like 13-13, and I'm like,
yeah.
hello?
How does it get here, right? How does it get here?
It felt like they were a little bit. It didn't feel like they were giving their all type of thing. I feel like they felt like they had won. And HSD, they did clap back and they were this close to getting that map. So I do think FOKUS maybe need to focus a little bit more when it comes down to, closing out these maps.
What we learned last time, right? Obviously, that game earlier on with Hookahs, we were talking about Fracture. They had plenty of opportunities to close, and it felt like the hardest round to get was the last. Obviously, they developed it into an OT situation, and they threw away a very, very winnable game. And the same could have been said for FOKUS, right? The fact that HSD even pushed them that distance in the opening game, certainly there is going to be concern there, right? Especially when it is a repeat, when it is something that we're seeing translated into this new veto. And as you said, even though they've countered the bans, even though they forced APEKS into a scenario where they kind of have to get rid of the good maps from FOKUS, they still leave that open, which means maybe improvement has been made. Maybe, the midweek scrims have been working on as to why they didn't close that game out, or watching it back and understanding as to why they weren't able to deliver on that front. Listen, we had a look, obviously, at the talent predictions at the start of today. Just to remind everyone at home, we had ourselves both down in favor of FOKUS, right? But I think both of us quite understand that APEKS have every opportunity to just slam FOKUS here. Like, I think this is the only game in the entire group stage where we could argue every single scoreline is doable. Every single scoreline, you can reason.
Yeah, I mean, I look at my prediction now, and I do think to myself, why did I make that decision? And I'm still sticking, so I do think FOKUS will take this. Okay, as much as I do love the boys of APEKS, I'm friendly with a couple of them. I do think if FOKUS can play to their full potential, they can take this map. I think the only reason that I doubt myself is because of how I watched FOKUS play on that Pearl, because to me it did give me red flags of how they were playing on Pearl. So what we're about to see right now is going to be something that is going to solidify my thoughts about these two teams. And especially one point I want to make is when we see Ascent today, that being the second map, I do want to see if they can perform as well as they did against HSD earlier on in the week. Because I think that, I don't know if that big win, that really heavy dominant win, was because they were up against a team that isn't as good as APEKS, or was it because they are just genuinely very good at the map?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to argue. Going to be very sort of hard to substitute in, and translating that between the games, as you said, you can just basically sit there and say, do you know what? It was against HSD. It's not going to be an amazing performer. It's not like you're coming against a FOKUS or an APEKS. No. It's someone a bit lower down in the rankings, someone that maybe has the shot of making that playoff stage. However, this is a whole different kettle of fish. This is a whole different scenario. You're building up probably what some at home would argue, and rightly so, to be the teams that we expect maybe in a grand final, right? The teams that we expect to go that distance, to make it all the way, to be challenging for that #1 spot in Polaris. And the fact that we're getting it so early on is only going to be a taste test to exactly what it's going to be later down the line. Whether obviously that happens and the vetoes and whatnot, it's all very different. But at least we can sort of cross-reference between the games that these guys played last time and the games that they played now in the best-of-3 format. FOKUS, they have some familiarity. APEKS, not so much, but certainly will be able to look back. And especially, as you said, right, on Pearl, if HSD are taking them to double OT, then what's not to say maybe that they can just punish them, watch that VOD back and go, do you know what? We can pick this apart. We're looking at this. We're looking at that. And very quickly, they could adapt, and very quickly, they could beat FOKUS.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think the main thing that I am really, again, I'm going to keep on saying this, focused on is individual performances. I do think this series could come down to individual performances, and whoever has them cracking performances, I feel like they could actually take the lead. There's one more team in the running, I think, through all of the different leagues that I think will and can compete against FOKUS and APEKS, and it's probably the roster of Ascend. I think them being over in the East League, I do think they are probably the top 3 teams, in my opinion, that are in the running for the spot.
Let's talk about agent selects. Obviously on screen for us now, double Astra. I mean, as expected, right? I think this one is. Again, I like to see how even it is. Maybe a small few changes, but actually, in this one, I feel like we've got 2 very different style of comps, right? First thing to note, we were making the Sova comparison. There's only one of them on the server today, right? Lewis is obviously sticking to tradition, but we have, a different kind of setup for this APEKS side, right? We've got the KO, we've got a Phoenix, obviously Magnum playing the Cypher as well, and a Fade combination. It's interesting to see how sort of contact heavy, how initiator heavy this comp is, whereas maybe on the side of FOKUS, Sova, yeah, still they're playing that double initiator setup, but it feels like APEKS are taking a much more proactive route in terms of getting these fights.
Yeah, it's surprising to see the Phoenix be picked up here on Pearl.
Yes,
I think what you have to weigh up is, again, like you said, this is going to be very thoroughly decided by playstyle. So them not picking a fast duelist, I say fast duelist, someone that can, get on site really quickly like a Raze or a Jet. I think that's going to play a big part in the way that APEKS do play this game in particular, which again is probably the reason why they've opted in for a Fade. I think the Fade goes a lot better with a Phoenix. Hell of a lot better.
Well, look at this. Kaiko, early doors, taking a fight. Doesn't want to drop the molly, of course. As much as it heals him, it harms others. So certainly don't want to run into that issue. And as you can see, Magnum in general, just trying to apply pressure. Something to note by APEKS, right, is going to be a lot more disciplined. We were talking about experience and tenure, is that for these 2 teams, I mean, everyone across the board, they're going to play with their smarts, right? Thinking caps are on at all times. No one's going to let the penny drop. It's very disciplined, and it is indeed Lime to find the opener here for FOKUS.
Yeah, he's picked up 3 there, which they're probably going to go and take CC control. They know there's 3 people link. So here we go. They're taking CC control. But look at Mystic. Look at Mystic. This could be big. Okay, Kaiko runs back out to pick up Lewis. Very interesting. Enzo gets KP as well. Oh boy, they're all on site. This is going to be fast.
They know that the last 3 were Link as well, right? So they know that they're coming from the right-hand side and met with massive resistance. It's APEKS to take the pistol. A brilliant 3-piece from Enzo to open things up. And again, it wasn't exactly a traditional round from FOKUS, right? It looked like it was very default heavy. They wanted to play towards mid. It was the Phoenix, right, from APEKS that basically wanted to try and send it in. FOKUS very relaxed, very passive, and as you said, right, they went mid-heavy. They came 3 through Link, and as soon as they understood that, the initiative to push CT, and you can already see the experience here. APEKS, mid-round calling is brilliant. They know what they're doing once the spike's down, and they manipulate the play against the grain. FOKUS had no way back into that one.
It's nice to see when they take space like that, right? They know there's 3 people there, so why not just 3 or 4 man push CT, take control of that, and then if you do get Heaven, there's no way they're going to be getting out Link onto site. Because, like Enzo showed, I've done it again. Like Enzo showed, there's no possible way out of Link onto site, and you can make that same comparison with how Human Tripwire's last series took a site on Haven, and they took CT. Like that's an A-class move. It's smart and it shows experience, like you said. A bit of a throwaway around here though for FOKUS. They've invested quite literally 3 sheriffs, and that's all. And Kaiko picked up the first one and a second. Okay, it's gonna be a stomp. Wonder what he can do.
KP's at 1v4. Any kill, any damage would be good with the classic. Unfortunately, not meant to be. Not quite a flawless one, but as close as you're going to get to it, right? APEKS only lose out on Kaiko, having playing that Phoenix as well. Something to note, I think that's 2 rounds now, if I'm not mistaken. I'm taking a bit of a shot here. I think Kaiko played doors again in that round, right? He was playing through mid. So that's twice, I do believe, because he did it in the pistol as well. He's moved from there. Overall, though, for this FOKUS side, you lose the pistol. You know that the second round is, as you said, a bit of a throwaway. You invest quite minimally into it. This is the real litmus test, right? This is where we're going to see rifles on rifles. This is the full buy for both teams. APEKS just have a little bit of extra cash to spare.
Yeah, and we're gonna instantly see the B-long pressure from the side of APEKS. They're doing the cage to make a safe cross towards the screen at the top, and that drone is big. Regardless of it, just obviously got the tag, great, but they got so much information. Hence, why APEKS are now falling back, and they're probably gonna let Magnum try and play for a pick here. It's funny because this pick, I know Magnum loves his Killjoy, so seeing him pick a Cypher against a Killjoy is quite interesting, I'm not going to lie. But it's great to see Cypher is being picked a lot more, especially due to, you know, some of the changes we had in the last patch. But they are shift walking down. Very close.
No noise as well. FOKUS aren't even playing an aggressive setup to even find this, right? They are going to know as soon as all the noise is made, as soon as Kaiko dropping in the utility. Great from Lewis. Doesn't get blinded up, but there is a Cypher on the other side of the smoke, and that's one that he doesn't expect, right? He thought the Phoenix went aggressive just for the information. He didn't expect the buddy system to be played quite so deep, and resulting from that, 4 versus 5. Still a lot of work to be done on this retake here for FOKUS, and they will be coming from the heavens a lot. Magnum's just playing on the cam, so he's able to detect the cross. Poor timing. Not going to be ideal because now all the players start flooding on in. A tap on the spike, and no peeks out of APEKS just yet. They're probably waiting for this Cypher to get envious, and it's Enzo actually to find a double. A great flashbang from Shadow, and the rest is history. APEKS 3-0. That was against Rifles, and they made it look too easy.
They made that look incredibly easy, Retro. Now this is giving me confidence in APEKS. This is giving me confidence in APEKS, and it's giving me unconfidence. What's the opposite to confidence?
Worry, doubt.
It's giving, you know, it's making the people, including myself, who predicted FOKUS, it's making us doubt. It is making us doubt. Because, like, look at this early timeout forced by FOKUS. That's massive. That just goes to show the pressure that not only are APEKS applying physically, but they're also applying mentally.
I mean, nothing wrong with the early timeout, right? They're probably like, guys, you're 3 rounds in, we've lost them all, like, clearly something isn't right. You know, I think they'd had a little more belief against the bonus, technically, of APEKS, right? The one that they won just there. Maybe not expecting the Vandals out of them, but again, they're probably a little bit worried, right? Maybe it's a bit more of a panicked pause rather than a tactical one of some regard. So, yeah, I think very, very premature, as you said. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You've got to respect a team that knows when to call them, and this right here is to just ensure that they set the record straight to allow opportunity for them to get back into this game, right? Because we saw it happen on map 1 of Tripwires, of course, versus Hukars, and that is that Human Tripwires just obliterated them, and by the time that the Hukars side called for the timeout, it was way too late in the game to recover that defensive side. So, yeah, certainly there are drawbacks to an early timeout, but I'd like to see it too early than too late. So, you know,
100%.
Appropriate in some respect.
Yeah, no, 100%. Totally agree on that. We are looking towards the Phoenix taking orbs. Now, this is one thing that I am positive that you have to do when you play Phoenix, and it is control the orbs. And it does strike me as a reason as to why Phoenix isn't played on Fracture quite a lot more, because if you think about it, if you can spread yourself out across the map and get them orbs on Phoenix, you could probably have an ult every other round. Like, there's 4 orbs to play for on Fracture, and as you saw, Magnum at the start of this round very smartly did the cage, right? And doing that cage on B long, he's even going to do another one here, so he now has no cages left. So what this means is that FOKUS didn't know how many people crossed, and it also means they're not going to push up because they know they could be crossing. So Kaiko has just picked up his 2nd orb of the half, of the round, sorry, and here they go, attacking the site, and Magnum starts it off. They get a nice wallbang on Lewis, Kaiko with onto Yugi, and then Purpo takes 1.
KPZ, oh, 1 bullet left, my friends. Got to be careful. Keep an eye on the ammunition count, excuse me, as Lime now trying to get involved from behind. Swarm grenade's going to be used, not going to be detonated though. Mystic from behind is able to take him down before that round gets a little too intense. And they do know the rough location of KPZ. They know that it's going to be some presence from CT. Now the question is, how much damage could you do in the 1v4? The answer is nothing. APEKS 4-0.
One thing I want to note about FOKUS is that they heavily rely on Astra. If you go back and look at all their games, their Astra pick percentage on nearly all maps is incredible. And Astra is one of them characters that after she suffered that big nerf, you know, I can't remember how many patches ago it was, but the recall time on stars was longer, and I think there's one less star potentially they had. That did affect Astra in my opinion, but I do see FOKUS use her so much, and they do use her effectively usually. Look at this, look at this. They're going for the orb again. This is what I mean. They... Take it? Okay, good. Thank you. I'm right. Yeah.
Got there eventually.
They're going to keep on abusing these orbs. So right now, FOKUS need to take some form of control. Look how far back they're playing. They're playing right the way back on A site. They're playing right the way back on B sites. I don't think FOKUS can keep on letting Kaiko farm them orbs and then combo in with Nightfall, for example. That's what Enzo's got ready. And it looks like they are most likely going to be going for an A split. See, Nightfall comes out, actually to clear art. Very interesting. Very interesting. Opting in to clear art. A lot of utility back and forth as well. Magnum, he heard the steps from Lewis, and he's going to get the shot.
Really nice. Now, of course, Kaiko dropping all sorts of utility. Didn't even go for that second orb, right? They just sent it right back in towards a reposition through art. Now that spike's going to go down, and yet again, FOKUS locked out of a round until KPZ arrives on the scene, and he's not happy with the deficit that they're suffering right now. They want to earn their spot back into this game, and this is a massive retake if they are able to convert. A nice shot from Yugi, and APEKS starting to fall apart, but Shadow isn't happy with this result either. Purpo's able to bounce back, and now it's a little more bite-sized for Magnum as he slides back in towards default, stands strong, holding towards Flower, got Purpo locked in on the left-hand side. The op, missed shot from Yugi, and missed classics. It's Magnum with a 1v2, a clutch out of nowhere, and that is a must-win round for FOKUS, set up to a T, yet they still go second best.
KP did so well getting them early kills with the Vandal. It just wasn't enough. But one thing we haven't mentioned is Yugi. It is Yugi, right? It's not. It's a silent J.
Yeah.
It's him on the operator. He usually has so much impact. Like we mentioned last time on Pearl, he dropped 31 kills. 31 kills he had on the last game on this map. So it's something that we are really going to have to focus on is when he buys the operator. Because not only is the operator very, very good to hold down B on this map, even on A, you saw him get the pick. I think this game is going to come down to him playing a Vandal and him taking space. I think that's the way they're going to win this game.
Purpo's set up on the right-click flash.
Contact play.
Yeah, I do like it here. So obviously he's tucked, he's allowing the Killjoy of Lime to kind of take the first contact, and the idea is that off the back of it, indeed, he will flash out, but Kaiko, one in response. That'll be a little more effective. What a sick transfer. Mid-spray, Kaiko able to deliver, and that is pretty cool to see. So Lime has called in for KPZ to drop the smoke, and that's going to allow the Sheriff to try and pop off, but it's only onto the ult of Kaiko. That means they've still got numbers, and they're still going to play the advantages. Knives drawn for Yugi here. Obviously, as you said, the operator, a big investment, put him down to a classic, but bringing them out is going to be very, very critical to this FOKUS success. With 30 seconds left as well. Don't have much of a choice in rotation. APEKS confident they can take A. FOKUS leaning more heavily towards B with the Sova and Astra making their way around. Yugi, only one with the ult. And listen, one in most cases enough, but in this, when you're on pistols, when it's 3v5, you needed heroics, and the Knives was your best shot at it. It's going to be 6 on the board for APEKS. What a staggering start we've seen.
Yeah, even coming in the way APEKS played that last round was incredible. I know I touched on that last round, but it was just even the movement around the box. I believe it might have been Shadow. No, it wasn't Shadow. It was Magnum. The way he positioned himself just so sight was on his right. He could isolate that fight with the CT player, and then he had that one-on-one fight with Yugi. It's these tiny micro movements that makes a player go from great to excellent, and Magnum always shows that. Ever since playing on Fnatic and Enterprise, this guy has shown that he is an S-tier Sentinel. And now that the meta has changed more to suit his playstyle, because he kind of got pushed off, you know, when Chamber came in, he kind of got pushed off that, you know, the Cypher Killjoy meta. But now that's in, Magnum is thriving, and you can tell from his lurks, you can tell from how confident he is in his plays. And honestly, if APEKS get this round, I am worried for FOKUS.
They need something, don't they? To go 0 for 6 on the defensive side is just going to be a difficult pill to swallow. I mean, even if they recover to make it 6-all, I think that's the only justifiable scoreline you can give to FOKUS, right? Traditionally, this map, we see more rounds won on the defensive side, it feels like, especially now how APEKS are playing their attacking side, right? Like, you kind of feel like how drilled this is, how integral the mid-rounds have been. I mean, nice ult being popped by Purpo here. Good timing as well, right? Trying to deny Kaiko any presence, you know, disallowing basically these flashes to create the gaps and to create the space.
No,
The line.
Magnum.
Gotta be careful.
He's ready for
On
it.
the other side. Oh, spotted out, but that is good. Lime gets away with all of his HP in his life. That was an engagement you thought was going to turn very sour for FOKUS.
Sure, look at Kaiko, so aggressive onto the backside. He's just trying to take out the player in pit, but he knows they've got a crossfire set up there. Great flash, incredible flash.
One in response as well, though. Lime, he's able to fight back. Kaiko, remove that Killjoy ult still in. The lockdown, it is going to bring Shadow basically to nothingness for the next few seconds, and that's going to allow KPZ to walk in. Still trying to hold him down. Enzo, not going to be able to defend his teammate, but there's 2 kills out of the back pocket of the Fade. It's a 2v2, but time is of the essence. They've got to move back in. Lime, still towards dugout, still going to peek on good timing, just as Enzo brings out the reveal, and it's the spike picks up for Magnum. It's a tap of it, and he does go for the fight. The other player, no man's land. Ice cold in his veins for Lewis as he holds his nerves, and FOKUS finally on the board.
On the board, as they should be. It was a great round from FOKUS just there. I honestly thought that APEKS got the bomb down a little bit earlier. When it said spike carrier killed, I was kind of shocked, but I guess it's because Shadow had it. He was detained. There was not much he could do. Enzo, though, clapping back with them headshots. I feel like we spoke it into existence, you know, how we had that head-to-head against the Sovers, you know? We had Lewis, we had Enzo versus each other, and I was talking about how, you know, Lewis is the clip maker, the headshot maker, and now look at the scoreboard right now. Enzo on top of the whole game, 10-3, whereas Lewis is sitting on 1 and 6. He didn't even have any impact in that round, I don't think. Lewis just had to chill, hold for Magnum, which is important because Magnum's playing mind games, right? There's a reason Lewis wasn't in that fight. It's because he's waiting for Magnum to come around the corner. And Magnum is changing up his lurk so much. It's fantastic. Brilliant. What an angle from Lime. What an angle.
And look, this is the first time we're seeing FOKUS actually take initiative, right? Like you were literally discussing this a few rounds prior. We need FOKUS to start going aggressive. We need them to start taking control off of this APEKS side because they were allowing Kaiko ult orbs. They were allowing them to build up the ultimate abilities in general. And from there, they were just slamming sites and they weren't giving them an edge way in otherwise. Magnum will pick up the information of a singular player. And a smoke to boot will be nice. Shooting out that utility. Nano Swarm inbound as well, just to try and delay that push from Magnum. This fight, important. Yugi does spot out a couple. Well, actually, not too sure on the second, but certainly the first. It's Magnum that drops Lewis, and now, look at this. This becomes a split, and yet again, FOKUS confidence in the advantages. But Yugi overstepped the mark maybe, but can't find the third. 2 versus 2. Again, another high-octane round that ends in a nail-biter. The wall brought up by Phoenix just to give Lime a bit of timing and a bit of space, but KPZ a double. Individuals again rise to the occasion. It was Yugi in the early round, and it was indeed that sick double to end it out. FOKUS with a second.
It's so nice seeing Magnum and Mystic work down streak together. It's so nice. You know, Magnum gets the first, he then dinks. I can't think exactly who it was through the wall. I think it was Purpo, yeah, and then Mystic finishes him off. And it's unfortunate right there that Kaiko can't get the kill, or the trade, should I say, onto KPZ. But that's 2 rounds on the board for FOKUS, and they did exactly what I said. We need to check they haven't got the stream on.
Listening in, mate.
There's the operator as well, from Yugi. I mean, the position he was in at the start of that round, you know, the first contact he took from B long, that's kind of like, you know, the operator angle when you take deep control. So you can tell he's that sort of player. He's that player that loves the operator, and the first chance he gets, he'll buy one. Although this is the second chance. But look, we're actually having a B hit right here. Quite a quick one as well.
Yeah, indeed, and you hear again that Phoenix running it up, just going to try and run right through. Flashbang over the top, has that blinded the Killjoy. Lime lines them both up yet again. Individual stepping up for FOKUS. It is a 4v5. It's still very manageable for APEKS to win this round out, but you forget about that Yugi operator, and he delivers yet again. Of course, the wall brought up, in fact, two of them. Astra versus Astra. Now, of course, there's going to be a massive flank. The Mystic can only cough up one. Fortunately for Popo, he's able to trade as Kaiko. Yugi jumping into the action as well, and it's all on Shadow. 1 versus 2. No nades. The knife only just brought up. No command to use either. It's off the back of a flashbang. And he is going to deliver, as you can see, teammates pinging the spike, letting him know this is the angle you need to pre-aim. Perp now going to go for the stick. It is indeed the flash. They tried to turn, and he's pulled off it. It's halfway stuck. Swing out, and Shadow's got the clutch. So well played off the back of the flashbang, isolating those fights, and APEKS a deserved 7th.
It's the timing of him peeking from that flash. I was literally going to tell you, this flash is going to win him the round. That high flash, as he chucks it high, he waits that 1 to 2 seconds. You know, because you don't turn away instantly. You wait that second, he doesn't peek, and as they turn away, bang, he gets the kill. Honestly, unlucky not to get 2 kills as the flash pops as well, because he does kill 1 with a nice shot. I mean, I'm going to be using that flash in my ranked games if I ever play KO. I'll tell you that for a fact. It's lovely. Lovely performance from Shadow. But again, it's also like a nice flank as well, right? That flank got 1, and that 1 could have been the reason that they won the round.
Yeah, really, really important, right? Had everything on the silver platter. Couldn't quite cough up enough in terms of, you know, an individual standpoint. You were expecting 2 or 3 of those players. Only the 1 kind of feels a little bit bitter, but it's brilliant. And yet again, I think, you know, we were kind of questioning this Phoenix, right? And we were kind of wondering, is this really the play for Kaiko to be making? I feel like all of his utility has been so beneficial to this APEKS side. This is one of those rounds, they just walk in, wall goes up, flash goes through, they take that elbow control right away from FOKUS, and now they have nothing to work with in the post plant. Admittedly, it's Sheriff's and Classics, you know? You're not expecting a worldie of a round out of them, but if there was any chance, it's just been eradicated by a single individual. Kaiko, maybe not even in the fragging department doing well here, Marcus, but he is delivering so much in creating space for his team.
He's making more space than I thought he was going to make, especially obviously not playing the Jet and playing a Phoenix. He has made me realize that Phoenix, as long as you have that team backing you, as long as you have somebody following your ult, somebody following your flashes, you know, for example, Magnum and Enzo, who have been attached at the hip of Kaiko, it's so nice to see. And it's definitely solidified the fact that if you're going to play like APEKS are playing right now and at the speed they're playing and the strats they're doing, Phoenix is 100% an agent that is viable for this. And honestly, we're not even talking about him that much, but Magnum is picking up so many kills. So many. Well, to be precise.
Here we are. Another round, another opportunity, but one that FOKUS desperately need to deliver on. Yet again, just information. That's all that APEKS are here to gather. They deliver on the most part, right? They understand that maybe there are a couple of people just holding down the fort towards A. Maybe just a little bit of util being expended. Ultimately, Kaiko going back to the old reliable, straight back towards B. And this has been such a success point for APEKS now that you struggle to even think, you know, if FOKUS stackers 5 towards B, do they stand a chance?
That's what I'm saying. It's the way that they're taking A main control and then they're taking B side. Look, it's a breeze. It's an absolute breeze. And honestly, well, obviously it's not a breeze, but they are annihilating this map. Absolutely annihilating it. And it's nice to see that Lime has picked up that kill on Mystic as well, because if Magnum's not lurking, you can be sure Mystic is lurking as well. And it's very big. They have not got any smokes.
Oh, I was going to say, the lockdown But look, Kaiko, flashbang, bends it right round the corner, stuns everyone in their tracks, and now it's Purpo against 3. Spots out the first, hits the headshot, it's a delayed spam! Oh, Purpo a double, has the knife in his pocket as well, but Shadow from behind will be able to take him down. A 1v4, cut the attacking side in half, but APEKS still stands strong. The 2 pillows of Shadow, and do believe it was Enzo, just deliver every single player right now for APEKS, firing on all cylinders. Look at the kills, right? Like, you saw the scoreboard come up at the bottom. The comparison, right, between FOKUS. Admittedly, there are some frags coming out, but not to the power, not to the agility that APEKS just have gliding into these sites and just making such success sporadically.
This is what I'm saying that makes a great player a better player. They knew that Lime was about to try and ult on the retake, and he was ready on that Phoenix flash. He was ready. The second they hear the steps running into the corner, it's a flash and a push. And look, here's that space aggression. Are you ready for this? This is what I'm talking about. On a half buy, well, no, it's a full buy, it's the final round, and it works. KPZ takes Mystic out of the game. A smoke is down.
There you go, Kaiko in his ultimate form, dropping the molly in front of him, and that's just literally to get some information, jumped into it, and also so that just stops anyone from progressing back into the control that he had just taken. So quite a smart play made by Kaiko. Magnum now walking up close, but Lime on the Guardian, an unorthodox weapon, but one that they need to use. Shadow realizing his flash not as good, but Lewis, while Blind gonna find it, that's the spike dropped into the jaws of the elbow, and now Lewis dancing back and forth, round towards the default position, will find one, and FOKUS. Listen, it's flawless, right? It's a third on the board. What was the difference in this round to every other? It was that they were aggressive in taking control, and they withdrew FOKUS from playing this such lopsided default, where they gathered these orbs, where they're so confident, and one time that they managed to rock the boat, it's flawless. Only if FOKUS had have learned that a little bit sooner, if only they delivered that 5 rounds previously, this could have been a very level first half.
It's also the impact of who they killed as well. They took out Mystic, right? If they took out Magnum, the round would have been different because they would have had stuns, they would have had sucks, they would have had smokes, right? But unfortunately, Mystic was the one that got taken out, which means they have no smokes to attack that B site, which is why it proved so difficult to have that split from street and to have that split from long. It was so difficult to clear out them 2 back players. You think how useful it would be to have a suck and a stun in halls at the back of B? You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this play. I adore these plays. There's one very, very similar to this on Split. If you put a Cypher camera in vents at the start of the round, right? And if, like, above vent, so people don't know where the camera is and it's already active, you give up mid control, you let them walk into your choke, a breach stun comes out, and the nade comes in. Look, bang, flash. Incredible.
Oh, but it doesn't result in anything. FOKUS. Mate, they've seen that play so many times before. They've been watching your streams, Marcus. They know what's going on. Really nice couple of kills coming out from FOKUS, despite, as you said, such a coordinated set piece. Whittled down to just 3, and now, of course, an immediate reaction has to be taken from it. Flashbang, I'm wondering, indeed, is Shadow going to drop one through? It's a push, it's a swing. Mystic, yeah, he's taking the fight, but actually, Shadow, premature, goes too soon. Now has to fall back 2v4.
30 seconds left.
At least the bomb dropping here gives Enzo some space to work with. Just like that, he picks up one. Lewis with the trade, and unfortunately they do know where Shadow is. 20 seconds remaining, the bomb is going to go down, and it looks like they're going to have a very nice post plant from long. Yeah. This should be the round for FOKUS right here. This should be a pistol round. Peeks once. Taps the bomb. They're not going to suck off that tap, mate. They know you're not on it. Oh, okay. He picks up one. KP does fall. Lime with the trade through the wall as well. Shadow's down. That's a 9-4. Still in favor of APEKS. It's unfortunate for this flash as well.
Yeah.
Shadow went a little bit too early. Little bit eager off of that flash. Timings have changed on the KO nades and the flashes, sorry. in the last patch, which is why the right click now is you're kind of only good for one, right? It's more, KO's definitely used more of like a long range flasher, but in situations like that, it does work, and I would love to see if the flash did work, how many Shadow could have got there.
I will say one thing, and FOKUS taking a fourth means there's a chance that this game can be recovered, even if it isn't in their name, but just to make it a little closer, to make it a little more arguable to a best-of-3 format, right? Had APEKS have won that, that's 10-3. And then FOKUS are torn between, well, forcing with terrible economy or taking an eco and then forfeiting another round on top of that, right? So definitely difficult. And as you can see here, APEKS forced to be second best in terms of weaponry. Despite that, fighting. Great shot from Lime. Okay. Whoa, okay. I thought Lime hit the third as well, but Purpo's got it covered. But still, really important that they make this one work. And of course, only Yugi to go down as well means just money on the top of it. You thought that was a moment of excellence out of the Guardian, but still, same goes, right? Only a single casualty means a lot. And for APEKS as well, as you can see, deductions taken in this fight. A couple of these players have to forfeit their heavy shields for utility. There's a chance here FOKUS can make this another round stick, and if they manage to convert the bonus as well, this is still a coin flip. It's still very much at stake.
It's so clean from Lime. I understand they're up against a low buy, just pistols, couple of little bits of utility, but those headshots with the Guardian were clean, even if he didn't see Kaiko behind that smoke. Sure, it was Kaiko crouched behind that smoke. Look at this, right? Even on defense, they're securing that A main orb for Kaiko. And that's so important, because even on defense, Phoenix is an extra player, right? And especially with the change that you don't lose the armor now, it's an incredible ult. And it's just nice to see people playing Phoenix rather than Jet. I know I've said that twice now, but I'm going to say it a third time. It's nice to see, and it's nice to see that it is actually working. And the way this round is going is not the way APEKS thinks it's going. I'll tell you that for a fact. They are rotating towards the B site. They're potentially thinking that they're going to attack double doors, but this is just a fake. This is just a farce. They've dragged KO and KP. Not KP, Mystic, sorry. For this attack on the A site. Look at this, a free split. An absolute free site, a free split.
Yeah.
Ooh, what a shot from Kaiko.
Yeah, sick. Now look at this. APEKS can try and defend as best as they can. They've got the numbers game. FOKUS need an individual to step up. Lewis has had a really quiet game. This would be prime time for him to show what he's made of. As you can see already, APEKS kind of looking for their way back in, tapping away. Magnum just pretty far in the angle. Yugi on the other side with the Guardian, now detected as well. Utility has been brilliant out of this APEKS side. And now look at this. Yugi, great one tap though. Open this round right back open. Mystic flanking in. KPZ, you don't expect it, and there you have it. Vandal will find another. Yugi giving it his best efforts. Magnum the last, and it all falls into place. Slotted nicely for an APEKS 10th. Met with some resistance that round. Could have been topsy-turvy, but FOKUS, yet again, have to rethink and, well, deliver. They've got rifles in the next, but that's their last chance.
In terms of economy, I don't think that's too bad for APEKS. The players they had, look at that shot on Kaiko. That's inhuman. I think in terms of economy, right, if you look at the armor still, Mystic, still 46 armor. You've got Magnum, you've got Shadow on 25 still, which means they haven't got to reinvest into that armor, which is, it's going to be, I would say, very beneficial for them. Because at the end of the day, that round for FOKUS was about destroying their economy. The more bodies they can take down, the better. And they only took down 2. Tech pause. We love tech pauses. We love tech pauses.
We do. Do you know what though? It's a fun one. Always the tech pauses, because you always wonder what you're going to fill it with, right? I guess we can talk about the game a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I reckon we can talk about Valorant.
Talk about life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, like dinner, like, you know.
Yeah.
What's the best dinner to have if you're watching Valorant? Probably a Chinese order, to be honest.
See, do you know what? Hot take here, and I know I'm going to get hard flame for this. I don't like Chinese food at all.
Okay.
There you go. I've said it. I'll say it again. It's not for me. It is not for me. I've only just started liking Indian food as well. Like, literally, I hated it for 19 years of my life, and what, like 3 weeks ago, I had my first Indian in like a year. I keep trying it because I keep wanting to go back to it, and I found it, man. It's my home. It's my comfort food.
Your taste buds are changing. I went.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
see this? Because we're not talking about Valorant, it ended the tech pause. People don't want to hear about what our favorite food is. I think we've just
Cracked
like
the code.
we've cracked the code. If you ever get a tech pause, just talk about stuff that people do not want to hear.
Maybe they are interested in my food takes, though. Probably better than my Valorant ones. Anyway, look at this. Fast play, round 16. Focus. Look at this. Just met with so much resistance. You were talking about how aggressive APEKS were. And, you know, it was Kaiko on the attacking side to farm the ult orbs. Do believe this time around it was Mystic that only needed the one to get the Cosmic Divide. And all of a sudden, right, this is a much more manageable, a much more bite-sized round. You've got the extra life on Kaiko. You can, I say, a lot of these angles specifically as well from APEKS with this wall. And so it becomes 10 times harder for FOKUS to get into because we don't have any ults. The closest we are right now is the lockdown online. That's the most useful one as well. So admittedly, it's not terrible. But FOKUS, yet again, have kind of been bullied into giving up a lot of this map control towards A.
Yeah, it's one of them rounds that is going to be key in who's going to most likely begin their either A, comeback, or B, win the game, pretty much. Because I think if APEKS win this game, it's going to set FOKUS's money in the wrong direction. They don't want to be going that way. And it actually looks like that. It looks like APEKS are reading this.
30 seconds
They've
left.
got 3 people towards the B site, and
Yeah.
Kaiko's on his way.
Well, I mean, look at the positioning of KPZ. Like, that's everything you need to know. Yugi's going to dash in, and it's actually been caught out by Enzo completely. Kaiko, still in ultimate form, just trying to delay as best as he can. That molly, really intelligent, but he does get stuck in the wall. No information as to the quantity of players behind it, but there's no time. They've got to defend. The line runs in and finds one. Kaiko able to trade APEKS. They've only got 4 seconds to plant. They've just got to deny it as best as they can. Kaiko's going to flash and run through. The spike goes down, but Mystic's got them both in the post plant anyways. APEKS with 11. FOKUS, a chance there, but it's been missed out upon once more.
It's so nice to see the way that the Phoenix wall is being used. Kaiko straight down the middle of sight from CT means that the player from Link cannot see where he's going. So the fact that he gets a free kill onto Lewis planting the bomb is it's immaculate. It's immaculate. And this is, again, I'm going to keep on touching on it. It's so nice seeing the way that Phoenix is being utilized in this game, whether that being just spamming ults because you've got the orbs, whether that be flashing through your walls to get free kills, whether that be even forcing FOKUS to time out because they don't know what to do now. That's the main buy round. What do they do in this situation, Retro? What do you think they need to do to secure this next round? Because they're most likely going to invest into it.
Well, with their backs against the wall, they have no option but to time out. Personally, for me, I think I'd be arguing we just need to stop APEKS from getting this A main control, right? Like, every single round, it seems to be they're pushing in, they're claiming that orb, they're backing away with all of their lives. There's nothing there to punish, right? And I think about Kaiko on the attacking side. We were using the Cypher util to kind of claim these ult orbs, back away, keep lives, but still, you know, Mystic holding on to all of the stars. It's Shadow holding on to the double flash and the knife. You know, Enzo's util, obviously the reveal, but also the haunt and everything like that. It's so much to deal with, which is why FOKUS struggled so much, you know. The knife was covering the elbow position of the map. It was really well choreographed by the APEKS side on attack. Now they're on defense. They're doing the exact same thing that FOKUS should have been doing on their defense to counter them. And they're just getting bullied out of the control.
Yeah. No, exactly what I would have said. Oh my god, but look at this. They are stopping them from taking a main control. They heard you. I'm telling you, this stream is on in the background of one of their players. Mystic takes out Yugi. It's unfortunate because this is a very key round. Although they have not force ball. They have not force ball. It's just a half buy. FOKUS, they're playing for overtime. This early on, the call has been made. We need to play for overtime, guys. They've kept money in the bank. It's literally a 5 versus 2 right now. And it's not looking great for them on the side of FOKUS. Kaiko, what's he doing? What does Kaiko do best? Farm orbs. What's he got for the next round? Another Phoenix ult.
You know what? I don't even need to look at the numbers. Kaiko, I think he was second heading into that last round, the one that's just been played out anyway in terms of kills. But in all honesty, he's been such a nuisance for FOKUS. Like, I feel like he's been so hard to deal with, you know, his flashes through smokes, his sort of using the ult to create space, but also to set up his teammates for fights, right? For pushing into smokes and getting information. He's so good, he's so disciplined, but aggressive at the same time. It's kind of weird to make that. But yeah, round 18, 12-5. This is looking like APEKS are in serious contention here to win this BO3. This is what, FOKUS's map pick, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's looking like this, right? Like, I think the scoreline and the context of the BO3 just says it all.
So this one right here, this is APEKS's map pick, which when you look at the scoreline, it's you know, I think APEKS did well to pick this.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. You know what, APEKS, if they're picking Pearl, understandable. It's looking real good, but you got to understand against HSD. Sure, it went to overtime, but this was a very comfy first map from FOKUS, right? Like, the first 15 rounds looked insane for them, right? Like, they had a really good start. And so, I think we kind of had high expectations. We thought the same. Maybe APEKS, as I said, went back, watched, evaluated, and they're punishing. FOKUS just don't have an answer to anything.
Yeah, and it's just applying pressure in different parts of the map, really, which is throwing FOKUS off. You saw Kaiko, you saw Magnum take B long control. Sorry, they didn't even take the orb. I don't think they quite literally just pressured it. Yugi takes the first one out. Okay, Mystic and Enzo both taken out of the game. That's 2 chess pieces knocked off the board.
Spike planted.
Only a few more pieces to knock off. Lewis is going to drone from default as well. Shadow's like, you know what? I'll save my knife. I'm not going to knife default. You can drone.
Feels like we've got the queen and 2 rooks, though, for the side of APEKS. When we talk about 3 pieces left on the chessboard, this is an APEKS side that definitely will not forget. In a 3v5 like this, discipline needs to be applied, right? Like, look at your money. You're not in the best of places. I mean, Enzo's quite low on cash. Mystic has enough to rebuy. Is there really a necessity of pushing in, giving your opponents more ult points, giving, you know, a lot of weaponry away, giving a lot of this utility up as well and trying to retake it? They understand, you know what? 5v3, chances are we're not winning it. Let's just be smart and let's bring it into the next. This is the discipline we knew we were going to see out of APEKS, right? Like, we have some serious thinking power on this team, and that's something that we were highly regarding at the start of this game, is APEKS, every single player on this team has played on a big stage, has played in the big leagues, right? Is playing in a VCT environment. This is a bite-sized game for them compared to what they're used to. They're playing a colossal side in FOKUS, but they are making it look like boys against men on the server today.
Yeah, precisely. And I think the main turning point of that round was losing Enzo. Okay? I think right there, losing Enzo and not being able to have that Nightfall come in for the teammates because he's dead, that was the main turning point of that round. Let's save, guys. Enzo's dead. We have no Nightfall. Let's wait. Let's build a little bit more economy up. And then we'll go for it. You know? This round, I reckon if FOKUS take the site, you're going to see APEKS... Oh. Well, they haven't even got to take site.
Shadow, oh, transfer's good. Magnum 1v2, problem is, other side of the map. They know that the spike's there, and so some delay in scooping that up and, well, basically returning it to the A site and putting it down. I think for Magnum, probably considering his options here.
He knows the turret would have got him, I think. I think he knows that turret could have potentially been on still top mid, so he didn't obviously push mid. Oh wait, they're aware.
Timing.
They are aware. 3, 2,
1, swing.
Exactly.
Yeah, really nicely played. We both saw that play. Really cool stuff, right? FOKUS, of course, picking up a 7th round. Very, very important, of course, that they are making this look a little more believable because, you know, admittedly, I was under the impression it was FOKUS's pick, but it isn't. Let's not, you know, tangle that bit of info up. Is that this is the selection of APEKS. So, even if you lose at this point, right, if you can bring it to double digits, if you can make the scoreline look a little closer, you know, at least mentally, you'll be on a high heading into, of course, that second map, heading into your selection of this BO3. Very, very important, of course, that APEKS don't get ahead of themselves. And so, indeed, they will be calling for a pause just to set the record straight.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I still feel super bad for FOKUS because they're probably looking at the ults and they're like, oh boy, there's a reason they are trying to take fights early because every single fight they take and they come out on top, that's better for them because APEKS are just waiting for that retake scenario. I understand APEKS had a fight in Arc just then, which is fair enough. But if FOKUS can take the site and they, for example, use the lockdown for that site, look at what APEKS have to clap back. They've got the Phoenix ult, they've got the Neural Theft, they've got the Nightfall, they've got the Cosmic Divide. They've got so much. So it's going to be, well, I say it's going to be, it could be very much the final round, what we're watching right here. Could be the final round. Fully invested.
Knife for knife. Yeah, I was going to say Kaiko just squeezing out the flashbang before it got too scary. And yet again, look at the positioning of the defending side. APEKS wandering in towards A main, get the orb, fall back. Magnum, I like the camera position. Not sure if it got knocked out by the attacking side. Nonetheless, FOKUS dropping the Cosmic Divide. Magnum actually going to be tagged up by the Sova util, so it's nice to see. Of course, they're able to pick that up. That is a really, really nice setup there for Perp. Shadow, he will be able to trade, and actually Kaiko runs through the ult. And you know what? He finds one. Very important because he gets his life back as well. And lots of ultimate utility going to be used right now. Lockdown for the attacking side, that it doesn't matter though. FOKUS, 3v1, plenty of time on the clock. Mystic against 3. This is going to be a pretty quick wrap up here. I think it's going to be 8. FOKUS looking a lot more calm now that there's nothing to lose, right? They are like playing smart, they're playing together, and if only we saw this, what, 5 rounds prior to when it begun, I think we'd be believing a lot more in this one, Marcus.
They just used so much, and I'm sure the call right there was fast retake, catch them off guard. They used everything.
4 ults.
They used 4 ults. One of them ults was actually gained in that round. Like, that's how wild that was. Of course, let's not forget that Lime used his lockdown, KPZ used his Cosmic Divide as well. But they've got Bladestorm, they've got Hunter's Fury, they've still got some very, very impressive ults. And are we looking at a... No, they're not forcing. Is this a half buy?
Pretty deep one, right? I guess the loss bonus is good for APEKS. Like, they get maximum money from the loss bonus, so it does make a little more sense that they're able to bring in some sturdier weapons to the fight. But you are right, like, still, this is quite deep, and, you know, if a lot of this utility gets sucked up in this round, like APEKS do use a lot of it, can you really believe that they're going to be able to keep all of their money? And, well, we'll see if it can be invested in the next. Right now, the concern is this one here. Yugi tagged up a lot by the ultimate, down to 7 points of health. Concern maybe of that smoke. That's why the nade goes in for FOKUS. It's going to be overlooked. Shadow on the side, patiently waiting, finds the first. Spots out the arm of the second. Can't hit the shots though with the Stinger, has to back away. Kaiko enable himself on the Phoenix. It's Line that gets dropped, and now of course flashes in from behind as APEKS charge up for the retake. It's still a 3v3, but a few of these FOKUS players very unhealthy. Lewis has to do it all solo, and that's a brilliant first shot. Trying to back away as well, knowing he's flashed. Enzo, always a response out of this APEKS side. That's what they've got to be cautious for. It's Yugi against 2. Spike under his nose, but under the watchful eye of APEKS, it's going to be hard. Both players pushing in. He needs to isolate the fights, and he's beginning that, but Shadow's able to convert, and that's going to be map 1 APEKS. It's close, but it's 12, now 13 to 8.
That's so upsetting for FOKUS. If only they tried to get a few more rounds on the first half, you know, to try and put it closer. It's sad they didn't try... it's sad that they didn't adapt quick enough, right? Because Kaiko was just farming them orbs, and if they're going to give 3 orbs away in the first half, you're just going to keep on getting Phoenix ults, and that's the reason we see Phoenix played on Haven, for example. I'm pretty sure it was Sentinels, I think, who kind of, I say normalized, who first played Phoenix in a competitive game, and after seeing what you can do on Haven by, you know, taking the orbs all the time and constantly ulting, that's what APEKS done well in this game. Like they couldn't even turn around in their favor when they had 4 ults up, yet they still found themselves victorious in this first match versus FOKUS.
watching back at the replays, you can see that scoreline super broad, super open for APEKS, right? And as you said, right, had they have honed in sort of how to put up some rounds on this attacking side a little bit sooner, right? Or rather on the defending side a little bit sooner, you kind of wonder, is this going to be a done deal in favor of FOKUS? Of course, they still have their map pick to rely on, and, you know, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for the here and now, right, for Pearl, for map 1, just the context alone, FOKUS, I mean, they were given half a chance to get back into this game, but ultimately, from 12-5 down, you're never expecting a game win. And unfortunately for them, they just, as you said, adapted and improvised a little too late in the game. And that's what cost them, right? The gap just too far to work with.
Yeah, exactly. It's the gap, and the reasoning for that gap is the lack of adaptation between the players on FOKUS in that first half. So super, super, super unfortunate for them. I mean, we do have to give credit to the use of the comp as a whole on APEKS, right? I think there's a reason they choose this map as their first pick. Well, obviously, unless their first pick got banned out, but it's just the way they utilized Enzo and Kaiko together. I still can't wrap my head around how powerful that is. The Phoenix and the Fade. You know, you could use a Sova, right? But how difficult is it for Kaiko to follow a dart? Do you know what I mean? You'd rather follow a Fade Prowler, right? You'd rather follow a Fade Prowler. Like, the amount of times they took street control when they went down long B, they took street control, they took link control. There's nothing FOKUS could have done unless they took space, upper B or upper A. And that's the reason that APEKS came out.
Yeah, indeed, and 1-0 up in the series, right, for APEKS. Now backs against the wall for FOKUS. Probably got to consider their options a little bit more, right? Map 1 felt a little bit dull, but you know what? I think they showed some promise, right, Marcus? And that's what we're going to go by. If we look to the last few rounds of the game, I mean, sure, they lost the last, obviously. But you look a little bit before that, and they were able to string some success together. They were able to piece together a pretty confident side. And when they look good, they look great. But the issue is, we just saw how inconsistent those halves were, right? You look to the last portion of this game, it was brilliant. The first portion certainly needs work, and the question is, you know, as we head into a break, as we head into map 2, it's their selection, it's their choice. Are we going to see that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out, right? We are going to go to a break. When we are back, it's FOKUS's map pick. They need it to stay in this competition in the BO3. Let's see if they can get it done.